So there's a lot to arm balances, and there's a lot to this yoga practice. I'm going to, over the course of the 12 classes, give you probably a lot at first, and then I will repeat them throughout the classes. And those techniques that you're gaining eventually will start to make their way into your physical body and become part of the way that you move. Okay, when that happens, that's when those aha moments will start to click for you. The other thing is you have to recognize that we need to build strength, not just awareness. Awareness can happen in an instant, strength happens over the course of time. So I can, give you that click, like that aha moment, but you might need to build strength in that musculature before it settles into capability, okay? So be patient with yourself. The thing about arm balances is that they should be fun and enjoyable, but they take an extreme amount of focus and attention. And a lot of the times we get, with arm balances, I notice a lot of people get very obsessive about achieving the posture, and as a result get down on themselves if they don't achieve the posture. I would like to reframe success for us all in this immersion. Success is developing an understanding of your body that you were previously not awake to. So becoming awake to something new. If that's your success, then over the course of time, keep adding something new, keep adding something new. It builds up to a yoga practice that is far more beneficial than, that methodology was far more beneficial than attaining postures, because that doesn't add up. So I could give you shortcuts and kind of tricks to take the shape, but that to me isn't the yoga practice. It doesn't really help you advance your body awareness and your capabilities. It only shows that you can do that one shape. What I want to do is open up your capacity to do a myriad of yoga postures, just a whole new world. But in order to do that, we have to focus on one action at a time. I will be giving you each arm balance we'll always have an arm balance within each class, but I want you to focus on the actions and getting those into your body, because they will unlock the arm balances. Remember, you have lifetime access to this immersion, so you could always go back and repeat the class at a later date once you've gotten all the way through and you're like, wow, okay, I learned so much. Now, if you go back and do the immersion again, you're gonna find whoa, okay, there's more that I have access to than I didn't before. Some useful things in this immersion: blocks nearby are great. I usually keep 2 blocks. I think cork blocks are really great for arm balances in particular because they're easier on the wrists, but foam blocks will do. If you don't have blocks, books or something, just to give you some elevation is helpful. Have a pair of socks nearby or a blanket, something that slides. I don't know if we're going to get into something like that this class in particular, but the classes just flow for me as they flow, so I've got a trajectory in mind. Sometimes I decide to break out the socks or the blocks or whatever, and I'd like you to have them nearby every class. Also probably good to have just a strap just in case I happen to use that. Throughout the immersion, we can use the chat. You can communicate with me here if you have questions, if something is unclear. Know that it takes a few minutes before that chat comes through to me, because it's taking a few minutes before this video gets to you, and so on and so forth. So if I'm delayed a little bit, just give me a moment to look down. And last thing, the Facebook group is a great place to throw up if you've got recommendations or things that you really want to work on based on what we have worked on, or things that you need to learn in your body. Use the Facebook group, video yourself. It's a safe space for us to celebrate our practices and also to get feedback if you're looking for it. All right, so without further ado, let's get to know our physical body, develop our strength, awareness, flexibility. Let's do this. Start in child's pose, please. Arms out in front, knees wide. Also, if you need anything from a different camera angle, we have 3 different camera angles that I can switch from. So throughout the class, if you just want to see something, just let me know what you want to see, and I'll switch the angle if you need it to see it from a different point of view. Take a moment to recognize that you are here, that you showed up for yourself. Get to know this physical body.
to cultivate your breath, breathing through this physical body. To develop awareness in the mind. To take care of this experience that we call life. Let's take a couple more breaths here, getting connected to the earth below you. Okay, grip your fingers into the ground and see if you can just kind of get some strength going in your forearms. So press your thumbs down into the ground, press your index finger, pointer finger down into the ground, middle finger, ring fingers, pinkies. Press them all into the ground. Now come forward to all fours, hands and knees. I think you can see that. You see how my hands are gripping the earth? These knuckles here are popping up, but the metacarpals here are on the ground. Okay, you want to really just press the metacarpals here, the heads of the metacarpals onto the ground, and dig the rest of your fingers into the earth as well. This will start to develop the flexors of the wrist. Now, we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's move the spine. Inhale, arch, and look up. Stuttgart, Stuttgart. Nice to see you. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. You can sink your chest as you're arching, so soften your chest towards the ground. And as you exhale, push your chest away from the ground, so separate your shoulder blades. Inhale, soften your chest towards the ground. This retracts your scapula. Arch. Exhale, round, and push your shoulder blades apart, away from each other. Protract. Fingers are still active. Inhale, arch, and look up. Exhale, round. All right, pause here. Now, in this rounded cat position, separate your shoulder blades as far as they go apart. I'll show you from the side angle. Okay, so the shoulder blades are moving apart, and you see how my middle back there is rounded? It's not soft now. So middle back fully rounded. And then I'd like you to move your knees back a little bit, okay, so that your body is in one straight line from your knees to your shoulders, and then lift your head up. You see how I'm going to move my head up to the same height or same diagonal as my tailbone. So my body is in one straight line from my head to my knees. I'd like you to be in that position. Now, instead of softening or relaxing here, push your shoulder blades apart. Head again is lifted. Body is in one straight line. Pull your front rib cage in a little bit. Okay, holding that, this is plank on knees. Now check in with your fingers. Activate them. Grip them into the ground. Again, push the shoulder blades apart. Push the ground away. Middle back is full. Plank on knees. Okay, then soften and relax everything down. Let's warm up the back muscles. Inhale, lift the heart only. Exhale, release. Now you're going to do the opposite. Lift your shoulder blades up, away from the ground, and lift your heart and your hands. So shoulders pull back toward each other, heart and hands. Exhale. Same thing. Shoulder blades retract. They move toward each other. Inhale, lift the heart, hands, shoulder blades together, feet. Exhale, release. Come to all fours, hands and knees.
Okay, let's get back to the fingers for a moment. You can bring your knees underneath your hips and take your right hand and see if you can just gently try to pick up your right index fingers, or left, sorry. Right hand picks up your left fingertips. Okay, but with your left hand, don't let the right hand win. So as I try to pick it up, the goal is that the fingers stay on the ground. You'll find which fingers are your weak fingers. My pinky doesn't want to stay on the ground. Okay, then do the other hand. Try to pick them up. Now don't be too aggressive because you don't want to strain. These muscles are delicate back here. So don't be too aggressive. Over time, this is just to build awareness that we want to dig our fingers into the ground. There are two flexors of the wrist that connect all the way to the fingers. And they're your brakes. They're what stop you from falling forward. They're what help you to balance your arm balances. Okay, so fingers active and hands wide for most of this immersion is going to be very helpful. Let's get back to our plank position. So fingers, dig the ground, push shoulder blades apart, round the upper back. Now, walk your knees back in line so you're in plank pose on knees. Instead of softening, push. Remember, head lifted, hold. Shoulder blades apart, away from each other. Push the ground away, pull the ribs in, hold. Now, lean forward and lower. Okay, this time take your forehead on the ground. We'll give the shoulders a stretch to get some blood flowing there. With your hands to your low back, squeeze your shoulder blades together. That's retracting the shoulder blades. This is the opposite of what we do in most arm balances. Then stretch the arms to the sky. As you press the arms to the sky, press your pubic bone down, lift your head up. So shoulder blades are moving together right now. Let's lift the feet up. Inhale. Exhale, release. Place the hands to the ground. Inhale to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog.
Pedal out your legs, bend each knee, move the hips side to side. Press the hips up and back. And find your fingers digging into the ground. So awake with your forearm muscles in every pose, especially when your hands are on the ground. Let's take the right leg to the sky on the in-breath. Bend the knee, open up your hip. Hold here for a breath in. And out. Straighten the legs, square the hip. Step forward as you exhale. High up on the fingertips. Let's take a breath. Exhale it out. Key actions for today. Squeeze your feet toward one another until your hips lift up. So the back shin especially squeezes in the midline of your body, divides it between right and left. So this is the midline. Squeeze your legs inside to side and toward one another. So squeeze inside to side like this and toward each other until you see how my upper body starts to get full. It gets rounded. Increase that by pulling your rib cage in, round your back. Get light in your fingers. Pull your legs toward each other. Take a breath and lengthen through the top of the head. Exhale, hands to the ground, down dog. Forward to plank pose. Inhale. Place the knees down and plank on knees. Let's now make sure that we understand the movement of the scapula. First, retract your shoulder blades, move them together. Then, protract your shoulder blades, move them apart. So sink, elbows straight the whole time, push. Sink, push. Inhale, sink. Exhale, push. Okay, now lean forward. Sink as you bend the elbows. Inhale, lift the heart.
Exhale, relax.
Shoulder blades together, retract. Inhale, lift the heart and hands.
Exhale, release.
Heart, hands, and feet. Inhale.
Exhale.
Now push shoulder blades apart, all fours.
Tuck the toes, exhale to downward facing dog. Are the elbows facing forward? In downward dog, try to move the elbows facing, the biceps facing forward. Yeah, more or less. Don't get too hung up on that just yet, Jennifer. But yes, you can rotate the biceps forward.
Once you're in your fullest expression of down dog, that means push your shoulder blades to your ears first, then you can rotate the biceps facing forward, the best of your ability. All right, let's take the left leg to the sky on the inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Hold here, full breath in and out. Straight leg, square the hip. Step forward, exhale. Come up onto your fingertips and take a breath. Soften. No worries. Hey, Tara, it's nice to see you. Now pull your feet toward each other isometrically. That means on the diagonal, right? So inward and like the front foot pulls back, the back foot pulls forward. Squeeze inside to side, and that's going to get your inner thigh muscles active. These are really important for arm balances. The inner leg muscles are what are going to connect you from legs to the center of your core. Okay, so inner legs, super important. Squeeze in and toward each other. You're going to get fully active. Now, get lighter in your hands by rounding your upper back. You can watch me if you're not sure. Pull your front rib cage in, and it's just going to be like you can just barely touch your fingertips to the ground. Also, you're going to feel your left buttocks fired up, your legs are fired up. Now lengthen through the top of the head. Exhale, hands to the ground, down dog. Plank on knees. Inhale forward, place the knees down, and pause. And again, let's retract the shoulder blades, move them together. Inhale, protract the shoulder blades, push the shoulder blades apart. Exhale, retract shoulder blades. Make sure your elbows are straight so you're not mistaking the actions. Push. I just reversed my breath, I apologize. Retract and push. Hold here. I'm off on the breath, so inhale, lean forward. Lower chaturanga. Inhale, lift the heart. Shoulder blades now retracted together. Exhale, release. Heart and hands, inhale. Exhale. Retracting the shoulder blades, inhale, lift the heart, hands and feet. Exhale. Now push to all fours, separating your shoulder blades as you go. Push, shoulder blades move apart, 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 boom. Downward facing dog. Okay, pause in your down dog. And in down dog, you can push as well. So push the ground away so your shoulders go to your ears and your hips go up and back. Push, or you may have heard me say lean, resist, push is one of the ways in which we can learn how to do arm balances. We're learning right now that push factor. When you push your shoulders to your ears, in this case, push. Your shoulders to your ears moves your hips up and back. When you're in plank, when you push the ground away, your shoulder blades move apart. That's the key that we're really focusing on today. Shoulder blades moving apart from one another. Secondary key is the legs squeezing in. So why don't we do that in downward dog right now? First of all, align your heels so that they point straight back. But then squeeze your ball mounds of your feet, the fronts of your shins, toward each other. Squeeze the fronts of your shins toward each other until you feel your inner thigh muscles activating. Breathe and push shoulders towards the ears. Let's do one more breath. Walk the feet to the front of the yoga mat. Take an inhale when you get there, half lift.
Exhale, bow.
Soften your knees, relax your chest and your thighs. Now interlace the hands behind the back. The opposite of push is pull, and that's what you're going to do right now. Move your shoulder blades toward each other. Pull your shoulders back. This is just to keep us balanced, to make sure that we don't go too far in one direction and cause injuries. Okay, shoulder blades toward each other, and then reach your hands overhead. Shoulder stretch. We're going to do a lot of strength building, so we want to make sure that we balance that evenly, not just all, going to one side, one side, one side. So as much as we protract our shoulder blades, we also want to retract them. All right, hands to the hips, arch the back, rise up.
All right, everyone, let's just kind of make sure we're all on the same page with retraction and protraction. So I'm going to just turn around so you can see the back of my body. Move your hands like you're coming in for a hug, like this, okay? As you come in for a hug, your shoulder blades naturally move apart. Accentuate that. Push your rib cage back until your shoulder blades move away from each other. Protraction. Then try to retract by doing a reverse hug. Shoulder blades together. Retraction. Protract, push the shoulder blades away from one another. Push is the key element. Pull your shoulder blades toward each other. Retract. Push shoulder blades away from each other. Protraction. Pull shoulder blades toward each other. Retraction. Okay, and release the hands. Okay, let's continue this idea of protraction and retraction. Protraction being a key element to lifting in arm balances. Standing in Tadasana at the front of the mat. Take a full breath in and out. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach to the sun. Exhale to the earth, bow, Uttanasana.
Half lift, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step your left foot back, exhale. Place your hands on your front knee by pulling your feet toward each other and pushing down. Hands come to the front knee. Check in with the back leg. Squeeze the back shin inwards so that there's this rise in your hips. Okay, as you squeeze the back shin in, your hips lift up. Now protract your shoulder blades, move them apart. Take your fingertips like you're holding a big ball, so fingertips to touch. Now let's move again like the exercise I just showed you, retraction and protraction. Inhale to retract, shoulder blades come together. Exhale, protract, shoulder blades apart. Inhale, retract, shoulder blades together. Exhale, shoulder blades apart. One more, inhale. Exhale, apart. Inhale, rise, high lunge, hands to the sky, chest up. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank on knees. Inhale, step back, place the knees down and pause. Okay, now we're going to really refine plank. We want to push our shoulder blades apart, separating them, and pull the front ribs in. So you see how my upper back is now rounded? Keep that, and just pull your front ribs in enough that it almost feels like you're pulling your knees forward towards your hands, and you'll feel your core activate. Now lift the thighs up. Fingers are active, shoulder blades are protracting. So fingers grip the ground, shoulder blades push away from each other. Okay, this is plank. Separating the shoulder blades and gripping the ground are the key actions. Now start to lean forward and begin to bend the elbows and pause, hold. Micro bending the elbows without softening too much like this, right? There's a little give in the shoulder blades where they're starting to come together, and a little give in the elbows where they're starting to bend. Place the knees down, child's pose. That should be very effortful and a nice sweet release. We'll continue going over this each time so you understand the way that I teach Chaturanga in preparation for arm balances. On the next breath in, come forward, all fours. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sun, inhale. Exhale, step forward. Rise, high lunge, inhale.
Open up, warrior two. Hold here and squeeze your legs toward each other. So pull your feet inward until your hips lift upward. That's going to get the adductors, the inner thigh muscles, active. We need those today. Take your arms out to the sides. Gaze over the front hand. Just turn your back of your head towards the back of the hand. Hold. 3 more breaths. Soft and steady with the eyes and with the breath. Your muscle effort, strong, powerful, focused attention, but soft with the breath, soft with the face, soft with your eyes. On your next inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the earth. You're going to pivot the back heel up. Inhale, step forward, half lift. Exhale and bow forward.
Inhale, rise to the sun, Urdhva Hastasana.
Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, rise. We're going to do the other side now. Slow and steady breath. Exhale, bow.
Halfway lift, inhale. Right foot back, exhale. Squeeze your feet in and rise up, high lunge.
Tilt forward, shoulder blades apart, round the back, shoulder blades move away from each other, protraction.
Stay in this tilt. Inhale, shoulder blades come together.
Exhale, shoulder blades apart, protract.
Inhale, shoulder blades together.
Working against gravity, so it's harder to do retraction here.
Exhale. Inhale.
Exhale.
Inhale, high lunge, reach up to the sky.
Exhale, hands to the ground.
Hands a little turned out. Inhale to plank.
Fingers grip the ground, place the knees down.
Notice how my midsection is still lifted, right? I didn't soften down.
So the idea of chaturanga is as you go, you're starting in protraction for plank, and you're starting to move into what's called retraction. And the further you bend your elbows, the more your shoulder blades retract until you get to this point here is where they're fully retracted. Okay, but in this point, shoulder blades are fully protracted apart. The mistake that most people make is they don't really move their shoulder blades one way or another, and instead they punch their shoulder this way, which is called upward tilt. Don't do that. Just keep your shoulder lifted, and as you bend your elbows, you let them come toward each other, but you don't sink like this, okay? Because that will lose the strength that we need for arm balances. So I do what's called an arm balance prep. Sit up for just a second. The arm balance prep is where you are pushing your shoulder blades apart actively protracting your shoulder blades, but you're allowing them to be slightly closer together, just a little bit, okay? So they're starting to move toward each other, but you're actively resisting that, and that's what holds you steady and stable in chaturanga. So we do a micro bend of the elbows, a micro chaturanga. Watch this first, then try it. So yes, the hands are turned out a little bit, the biceps are facing forward a little bit. The upper back starts in protraction as much as you can, shoulder blades apart. Now leaning forward, micro bend the elbows and pause right here. You see this? See how small the micro bend is? It's not big at all. Then I can start to lift my knees up into this position here. And when you do that, you'll probably stick your bum up like this. Don't do that. Keep your body position, lift your knees up, and you're in a micro bend of your elbows, and you're pushing the ground away. Okay, and then relax once you've done that. You're gonna feel that in your deltoids. You're gonna hopefully, if you're pushing your shoulder blades apart, you're gonna feel that in the serratus anterior. So I'll give you just a moment to try that, and then we'll do one more thing before we get back into the flow. Fingers are gripping the ground, hands are slightly turned out. You're trying to push your shoulder blades apart to strengthen these serratus anterior muscles. And you can also see, by the way, when I'm in this pose, especially when my knees are up off the ground, that I'm leaning forward, which we're going to go over in a second. But you can see how my elbows are stacked over my wrist. Okay? After you've done that, it should be effortful, pretty hard. So you come all the way onto the ground. And let's do a little bit of the opposite. 3-part cobra. Some of you are very used to this from practicing with me. Others of you, if you're new to practicing with me, this won't feel very comfortable in the first few rounds because you have to learn how to do it. Round 1, feet a little bit wide. Lift the front body up. Exhale, soften, literally relax your chest down. Relax your spine forward. Okay, it's like bending it forward. Then draw your abdomen upward, lift your belly up, and that might allow you to lift your head up. Don't push with your arms here. Let your shoulder blades come together. Retract your shoulder blades. Okay, then release. Hands are wide. That helps with the retraction. I'll show you from this angle. Let's try it again. Inhale, lift the front body up. Shoulder blades together, heart melts, relax. This is the exact opposite of back bends. I'm sorry, of arm balances. Inhale, lift your belly up through the top of the head. Exhale, release. Okay, good for now. We're not going to focus too much on that, but I wanted to make sure that we have a balancing posture to all the front body strength we're going to be doing. Inhale to all fours. Exhale to down dog. Take one breath in. One breath out. Left leg to the sky. Inhale. Step forward. Rise. Inhale, high lunge. Open up, warrior 2. Hips back a little bit, like as if you're going to sit into a chair, and then squeeze your feet toward one another. Keeping that, turn the gaze. We'll hold here for a few more breaths. Just warming up the inner thighs as you squeeze them in toward one another. The eyes are soft, the breath is fluid, jaw is relaxed. All right, reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, hands to the earth. Back heel up, inhale, step forward. Half lift. Exhale, bow forward. Let's come, so you should have a block in your right. Hopefully, place it between your shins, or place anything between your shins for that matter. And the front of your shins squeeze in. You can see that a little bit, right? See how the front of my shins squeeze in and my thighs turn in as a result. So front of the shins squeeze in, bend the knees, place your hands on your thighs. All right, with your hands on your thighs and the fronts of your shins squeezing in, push the back of your hamstrings and buttocks outward. So push your butt apart by pushing your heels out, but fronts of the shins in. Most of you are gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? Okay, if you're new to me, this is gonna be something you'll learn over time. Obviously, you've been practicing for the last year with me, it's familiar. So squeezing the fronts of the shins in, but pushing the back of your buttocks out, you're gonna feel your outer hips engage and your inner thighs. Sit a little bit lower. We're gonna need both musculature for this whole month. Inner thighs, outer hips, more than that, of course. Now lift your chest like into a back bend, squeezing the shins into the block. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Take the block out. Inhale, halfway lift. Step your left foot back. High lunge, inhale, rise up. Open up, warrior 2. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground.
Inhale to plank. Now, micro chaturanga, just a little bend of the elbows, lean to your fingers and pause, hold. See, I'm just leaning a little bit forward. Push the shoulder blades apart a little bit more, just to micro bend of the elbows, hold. Good, place the knees down and relax all the way. Slide the hands wide. Inhale, lift the front body up. Exhale, soften. Shoulder blades up, together now. Inhale, stretch the belly up. Exhale, release. Now, as you push to all fours, you're going from, look at me for a second, the retracted position of the shoulder blades to protracted shoulder blades. So you're not going to here, you're going to here. Push the shoulder blades apart. Okay, so from retraction to protraction. Of course, the elbows are going from bent to straight as well. Okay? Do that a few times, really thinking about pushing your shoulder blades apart as you go. Okay, that muscular strength of doing a push-up on your knees is going to be very helpful over time when you get stronger for arm balances. At first, it'll make you weaker and it'll make you tired, but that's your body getting stronger. Okay, tuck your toes, exhale into downward facing dog. Let's take a breath in and out. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step between your hands as you exhale. Turn the back heel down. Okay, walk your hands to the inside of your right foot. The back inner thigh, lift it up, and now pull your feet toward each other. Probably better from this angle here. Okay, so pull your feet inward until your hips lift upward. Actually, maybe this one. Let's try this one. Okay. Now, as you pull your feet inward and your hips lift upward, you're going to start to feel the stretch in maybe your hamstrings, maybe your adductors as well. Very slowly, you can start to bend the elbows and bow. Okay, just warming up the inner thighs and hamstrings to gain some flexibility. Keep your feet pulling toward each other so your muscles are active. You can pull your ribs in if you like to round your back a bit more. Look at your navel. Keep lifting your hips and squeezing your legs toward each other. Your ability to sustain muscle engagement is really imperative for arm balances. In order to get up and hold an arm balance, you need to be able to sustain that strength. It's not something you just kind of, rest into with arm balances. That's why I love them. They really tell the truth about our physical, strength and our attention, our ability to focus in challenging situations, which maybe is arguably more important. Okay, walk the hands to the front. Now we're going to do straighten through the front leg, look forward. Exhale and bow. Inhale, hold here. Exhale. One more breath. Inhale, hold. Exhale. As you inhale, lift your chest, bend your knee. We're going to step into Malasana squat pose. So step your left foot wide and then just move your right foot out. Bend your knees out to the sides and sit on down. Take your arms, your forearms, and push your knees out. You see how the hips will lift up as a result. But then with your knees, squeeze in. So squeeze your knees into your forearms until you feel these muscles of the inner thighs called your adductors. Once you feel your inner thighs activating, now we're in what's called a facilitated stretch. That means the muscles that are lengthening are also engaging. This is really healthy for the muscular system to be able to engage muscles through lengthened positions. Develops strength through range of motion, but it also does something called the facilitated stretch, which increases flexibility. If you hold it long enough, the body will release tension, and you'll notice that then if you relax into it, you'll go deeper than you were before. But you have to hold it strong for at least, I would say, 10 to almost 15 seconds for most people is my guess. They say it's an average of 8 seconds, but I don't know. I think most people it's at least 15 seconds. Okay, now, fingertips to the ground, turn your toes in, push the backs of the legs out, and exhale, bow. Feet hip width apart, bend the knees,
Chair pose. Pretend like you're squeezing the block with your fronts of your shins and hold. Fronts of the shins squeeze in. Backs of the legs push out. Lift the heart. Exhale, bow.
Halfway lift, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Right foot steps back, exhale. Just moving, inhale, rise, high lunge.
Warrior two. Reverse, inhale. Hands to the ground, exhale.
Inhale to plank. This time, place your knees down and pause. We're going to make this a little bit more challenging. Place the blocks behind your forearms. I'll show you from the side angle, I think is the best. Okay, you start with the block right up against your forearm. You see how my forearm is vertical as a result. So what wouldn't be vertical is this. Okay, you see that there's a space now below here. Okay, that's not vertical. I come lean the body forward. Leaning until the block is vertical means that my body weight is now more towards my hands. And that is the key for arm balances, is that your body weight is not in your feet, but in your hands. It sounds ridiculous, but it's the case. Squeeze your fingers into the ground. So grip your fingers into the ground. That's your resistance. And now, with your forearms perpendicular, move your shoulder blades apart, okay? So separate your shoulder blades while leaning forward in your fingers. And if you're gripping the ground and pushing the ground away, this gets tiring fast. Now, without leaning back and without losing the strength of your fingers, see if you can lift your hips up, and without sticking your bum up to the sky, okay? So keep your midsection full, back of your body rounded. Separate your shoulder blades. Push, grip, and release knees to the ground. All right, so for most of you, that's going to be really intense on the wrist because these muscles haven't developed yet. So go slow, of course, take the instruction that I'm sharing with you and know that over time you'll be able to develop more, endurance, muscle endurance, because these muscles get stronger and the pain, any sort of pain that you have will subside as these muscles develop. Now, you should never do yoga within pain. So if you're experiencing that, then it just means do exactly the opposite of what I said. So if this is just way too much on your wrist and you're gripping your fingers and you're really trying to work hard, then just move your body weight back a little bit. It just means you need some more time developing strength in the wrist. But those of you that are ready for it, the blocks go right up against the forearms. You grip the ground. And now I suggest pushing the shoulder blades apart. We do micro bend the elbows and pause. Here is Chaturanga, lift the head. Chaturanga with knees on the ground and really leaning forward. Fingers are gripping the ground like mad. Okay, then come on up and release that. Give yourself a little roll of the wrists. The next step, of course, is to be able to do this with the blocks in full Chaturanga, but I don't want you straining the wrists on day one. So we'll save that for another day. But know that that's what you really need to work up to in order to do arm balances, being able to do Chaturanga, because the weight is still in the feet, right? You still have your feet on the ground. In an arm balance, you have no weight in your feet. It's all in the hands. So you got to build up the strength to be able to hold, micro bend in the elbow while leaning forward and gripping the ground. All right, come all the way to the belly. Slide your hands and feet wide. Inhale, lift the front body. Exhale, soften. Melt the spinal column forward. Stretch the abdomen up through the top of the head. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. We enjoy one breath in together. One breath out. Left leg to the sky, inhale. Step between your hands as you exhale. Turn the back heel down and walk the hands to the inside of your left leg.
Okay, from this position, pull your feet toward each other until your hips lift up and your inner thighs and hamstrings start to warm up. Keeping the hips lifted, not sagging down, so not this, but this. Lift up nice and strong, and then bend your elbows, bow, and maybe look towards your navel, around the back. Two more breaths. All right. Walk the hands to the front of the mat, through the back heel up. Inhale, straighten through the front leg. Exhale, bow over your straight front leg. Enjoy a breath in. And out. One more breath. All right. Let's take the left foot out to the left, right foot steps wide, Malasana, squat pose, and take the arms on the inside of your knees. With your arms push outward, with your knees squeeze inward and lift your hips up away from the ground this time. So significantly taller. And squeezing your knees into your forearms until you feel the adductor muscles active. A couple more breaths here. All right, fingertips to the ground, turn your toes in. Inhale, halfway lift. Backs of the hamstrings push out. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. You have the option, if you'd like, to hop back to Chaturanga or step back. We'll go over this more in detail another time. Slide the hands and feet wide. Inhale, lift the front body. Exhale, soften. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Down dog as you exhale. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. High lunge, rise, inhale. Warrior two. Reverse warrior, inhale. Side angle preparation, exhale. Now, this time, you're going to take your arm on the inside of your knee like this and just nudge it outward with your arm. With your knee, squeeze in. So the knee squeezes into the arm pushes it out until you feel your adductors. And turn your navel away from that. So knee squeezes in, arm pushes in, arm and knee squeeze into each other. One more breath. All right, release the hands to the ground. Now pivot the back knee down, and you'll turn your toes out a little bit here. I'm going to show you from the side angle. This back leg, you're going to move it in a little bit and turn the thigh bone out so the foot comes in. Okay, now, maybe this, I'm not sure which one's the best. Now from this angle, stick your bum up to the sky, like this, and bring your elbows down to the inside of your leg, maybe on a block. Okay, now, whether it's on a block or on the ground, either way, the actions are the same. Ready? You're going to squeeze your right shoulder and knee into each other. So this right knee, squeeze it in, and your shoulder kind of push it out. Okay, so squeeze the knee into the torso. The torso kind of nudges the leg back out. They squeeze into one another. Keeping that, the back knee as well squeezes towards the front knee. So this leg squeezes towards the front heel,
So you feel the adductors, the inner thighs of this leg, squeezing in. Couple more breaths. All right, come to all fours, hands and knees. This time we're going to take the forearms to the ground, interlace the hands, and walk the legs back. So now you're on forearm plank on knees, or those of you a little bit more experienced with this, lift your knees up. Now in forearm plank or forearm plank on knees, you see how the middle back between my shoulder blades is trying to be really the highest point. You're going to keep that and soften your shoulder blades together, then push them apart. So scapula push up, shoulder blades together, push them apart. You can do it with your breath if you like. No worries, goodbye, see you next time. Manlinga, am I saying that right? Let's do 2 more. Okay, and relax. Whew, that's a good exercise for the shoulders and for the serratus anterior. Develop the difference between retraction and protraction. In most arm balances, it's protraction that we are going for. Downward facing dog. Let's take a full breath in and out. Left leg to the sky. Step forward. Rise up. Open up. Reverse. And elbow on the inside of your thigh. Now, as you squeeze your elbow outward, squeeze your knee back inward so that you have the activation of your inner thigh happening here. Keeping the knee and elbow squeezing into each other, turn the chest, side angle, 3 more breaths. All right, and release. Pivot the back knee to the earth, left foot to the left, and back toes in. Stick your bum up to the sky, bring your elbows down to the ground. Now in this deep hip opener, squeeze your left knee into your chest. Squeeze in, find your adductors, your inner thigh muscles. Squeezing the leg into the torso while in this deep hip flexion is a requirement of many arm balances. So this is a great preparation for what we're doing today, but many others as well. All right. Come on out of that. And we're going to lay on our back and do the 2 arm balances for today. We have Bakasana crow pose, and we're also going to be doing another posture. So first, we'll be doing Bhuja Pidasana. So let's do Bakasana on our back, Supta Bakasana. So knees go outside the armpits and arms on the inside of your knees. I think you can see that just fine here. Okay, and you can use Happy Baby a little bit to kind of get as deep as you possibly can, and squeeze your knees into your arms. You see how my knees are on my outer arms and they're squeezing in? A micro bend in the elbows is great. This is the start to crow pose on your back. The next step is to round your upper back, so do a sit-up and keep squeezing your knees and even your feet in toward each other. Okay, so knees in toward each other, the upper back. The only thing that's touching the ground is the middle of your back. Shoulder blades are off the ground, head and tailbone are off the ground, just your middle back, a couple of vertebrae, and release. Press your head back into the ground so your back neck muscles work.
in opposition, since they work hard to keep your head lifted in that pose. Now let's do Bhujapidasana on the back. Bhujapidasana, shoulder pressing pose, very similar. The arms are on the inside of the legs, and the legs crisscross, and the hands reach towards the imaginary ground, or what's now the sky. So Bhujapidasana, the only difference is the legs, right, are on the different side of the arms. But there's both on the outside of the arms here. There's just, where is your shin? Is it behind or is it in front? For Bhujapidasana, cross your feet and squeeze your legs into your arms. It's called shoulder pressing pose, but your shoulders press back out. Now do a sit-up. Middle back is the only thing. Squeeze your legs in. Middle back's the only thing that is touching the ground. Squeezing the legs in, just like crow pose. Now for some of you, you might want to transition to crow. Very hard here. Feet go around the outside. Squeeze the feet in towards each other. Crow pose on your back. Okay? Back maybe. Bhujapidasana. Cross the legs. And that's enough. Press the back of your head into the ground. Activate the back of your neck muscles. All right, so let's come on up. Let's try these poses. Key point. For crow pose, put a nice big couch cushion in front of your face. Okay? Not your expensive Macintosh computer like I have. So nice big couch cushion. Option 1, crow pose on blocks is really nice for those of you that are not yet balancing the pose, but have a cushion and feel safe enough to work into the arm balance without actually flying, meaning without picking your feet up off the ground. This will give you a lot more of an experience of it. So everyone can start this way. You take your feet up onto your block or 2 blocks, and you widen your knees out to the side and round your back. Hands come to the ground, turned out. You see how wide my hands are? My pinkies aren't on the yoga mat. Okay, that's kind of part of the importance because that helps me activate the serratus anterior muscles. Okay, now I get as deep as I can. You know, those lizard poses that we did are gonna be helpful. The warrior 2 lizard pose, the other lizard pose. Now squeeze your knees in. The major step now is, you can see from the side angle, you see how my forearms are not vertical? If I put a block behind that, the block would be back here, right? So I have to actually get my forearms vertical, and I invite you to do the same. You lean forward until your forearms become vertical, and at this point, push your shoulder blades apart. Squeeze your legs in and flex your feet. You're in Bakasana crow pose, looking straight at the ground. You see how my head is not like, I'm not doing an inversion. My heart, you know, very small inversion. Okay, then come back down. But what keeps it feeling safe is that I can see the ground in front of me. If I tuck my chin and roll, I'm going over, you know? So I'll show that one more time. And by the way, those of you that quote unquote can do the pose should be sustaining the pose for at least 5 breaths, just like any other standing pose, okay? So let's do it one more time all together. Hands wide, fingers grip the ground. Lean forward so the elbows are vertical. Squeeze your knees in and now push your shoulder blades apart. Of course, your fingers are gripping the ground. Now lean forward enough till your feet get light, flex your toes and squeeze your heels together. Hold, squeezing your knees into your arms. Your inner thighs should be tired by the end of this. Your upper back, just like our plank poses, should be full. Your fingers gripping the ground. Okay, then bring yourself slowly back down. Brilliant. Okay, next posture is Bhujapidasana. Very similar actions, more or less. Blocks, this time, go behind you, behind your outer hip width feet. Bend your knees and place your hands on the blocks. I'm going to show you that. Hands on the blocks like this, on a diagonal, not straight forward, off on a diagonal. Okay, so your hands are turned out, easier on the wrist. Okay, take your
legs are on the outside of the arms, just like crow pose. Sit down onto your elbows. You may not have the flexibility yet for that, so sometimes lifting the heels helps to begin that. And then just like crow, squeeze your legs in. Squeeze in, maybe touch your feet together and hold, that's harder. Some of you will cross your feet, that's easier, okay? Squeeze in, hold. Separate your shoulder blades away from each other. Same actions are true. Okay, and then release. Okay, so those are our 2 arm balances today. But I do want to show you that some of you might be able to transition or at least work on the 2 postures with one another. Okay, so I'm going to show it, expecting that most of you are not going to be able to do this, but you know, over the course of time and repeating this video, you'll have more and more layers to get to. So this looks like this. 1 block in front. The blocks are in 1 line. Okay, maybe this angle. And 1 leg behind, 1 leg in front. Squeeze in, Bhuja Pidasana, crow pose. Okay, I'll show you from another angle in a second. You might be able to switch Bhuja Pidasana and crow pose. If you can switch 1 leg at a time, then eventually you can go from Bhuja Pidasana here to crow pose. Certainly do not expect that you should be able to, where are you, over there, to be able to do that easily. It takes extreme proficiency of both postures and being able to do the half posture. So where do you start? You start with doing the half Bhuja, half Baka. So that would look like this. I'll show you from this angle with this leg on the outside. So this leg, crow pose. Get it up high. This leg, foot on the ground like this. This is your starting point. Most of you can do this. Okay? Now the question is, will you be able to walk this foot in, squeeze both legs in toward each other, and hold? Okay? Foot down, relax. Then you do the other side. Again, most of you can start this even because you're not flying yet, right? If you have the flexibility, start 1 leg in crow, 1 leg on the ground. So you have 3 points of contact, 2 hands and 1 foot. Squeeze in. This is your 12th immersion, Patricia. Patricia, sorry, not sure where you're from. Welcome. Welcome back again and again. Thank you so much. Okay. And so, ultimately, that's your starting point for learning how to transition between the 2, is learning how to do half and half. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Let's wind down. We're losing time rapidly. So you're going to take your left forearm to the ground and take your left knee and just softly lay over. Now, if this is too much body weight, you can lean back a little bit. You can take the amount of body weight off of it. We just want to decompress the wrist a little by massaging. I like to lean a little towards my wrist and away, just like this. Enough to give the wrist some release. So thank you all for your efforts today. Let's go to the other side. Thank you for working on these concepts and ideas. I know I threw a lot at you in a short period of time. It's the hard part about these hour and 15-minute classes. We're already at the point in time for which we've practiced for that amount of time. It goes by so fast. So I try to get as much in as possible with you without, of course, diminishing the clarity and the quality of what we're working with. All right, sitting up, take your hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Lift your shoulders up, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Let's release the pectorals. You can either just stay right here. Actually, let's stay here for a couple of breaths, squeezing the shoulder blades up and toward each other. You can use your hands as leverage on your low back. Now let's reach the hands back.
and release. Ooh, yes. Let's take the arms in a cactus shape. Press the chest forward. Lift the gaze. Shoulder blades together. 2 more breaths. All right, and release the hands. Come to lay on your back. I suggest a couple of moments in bridge pose. Pressing the back of your head into the ground. Optionally, interlacing the hands. Using your back muscles. Using your buttocks by pressing down through the heels. And then release on down. Let's give our body a moment of rest. If you'd like, your knees can knock in for constructive rest pose, one of my favorite ways of taking Shavasana, especially after you've done a lot of stretching of the inner thighs. It's nice to reverse, let your inner thighs give relaxation. Also, I like to take my arms overhead sometimes when I practice Shavasana, up to you. So if you have an alignment or a way of doing it that feels really delightful for you, then take that. As you lay here on your back, bathe in the sensations of your body. Embracing the fullness of the experience that you have cultivated for yourself in this time. And we'll slowly move the breath to a calming, relaxed, less effortful place. Allowing the body to take over the rhythm and movement of the breath. Come back to your breath. Deepen each inhale. Lengthen the exhales. Awakening the fingers and toes. When you're ready, you can roll to your right side, come up to a seated position as you wish. Place the hands at the heart center and take a moment here to observe your body, observe how you feel. In honor of everyone that has shared this practice together here today and everyone that has shared it in the past that has brought it to me and to you, we bow in with gratitude that this practice is available to us. Thank you so very much. Namaste, everybody. I want to give a shout out to everybody that was here in the chat. So thank you all for being in the chat, and those of you that either couldn't make it in the chat itself or are not watching this live, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Real quick, I'd love for you to do those wrist release that we did, the knee on the arm, or any sort of wrist massage later today and tomorrow, and shoulder stretches, even just stretching the pecs at the walls like this. This is great. Because you'll be really sore if this is, doing these kind of things without stretching, and I want to make sure that you are recuperating properly, and massage and stretching can really help to recuperate. So make sure you're not just doing it, in the class, but, stretching afterwards. And you can use your forearm too to massage your own forearm. This way there's no effort. I use the knee sometimes I use the forearm. Either way is great. Okay, so continue to do that until I see you on Saturday. And I hope that you enjoyed the class. I hope you enjoyed the experience. And what I would love to see is in the Facebook group, share your chaturanga or your plank. Those two are great. Okay, if you can share your chaturanga and plank, and if you want any support, I'm happy to give you any tips on that. But also, if you want to share either of the arm balances, please do. I would love to see what you got going on. It also inspires me when I see your plank, your chaturanga, or your arm balances. It inspires me to see where I could go with the next class to support you all as a whole. You're always welcome to post anything you'd like on Instagram, so long as you tag me. Well, if it's just your practice, you don't have to tag me, obviously. But if you're sharing a practice and listening to me teach, then please just tag me. That would be supportive to me. And very helpful to spreading the word about these immersions. So I thank you so very much for signing up. Thanks for being here. I'm just delighted to have this opportunity to share this practice with you. And thanks for being in the chat. Everybody, have a beautiful day. Tara, Patricia, Jennifer, thanks. Yoga Space Leads in the house. Johanna, Catherine, what's up? Thank you for being here. Oop, incoming call. Sorry about that. Let's see. Marissa, thank you so very much. Appreciate you. Nina, thank you. Victoria, I'm glad you have some new tips in your toolbox. Super excited. That was a great start to the immersion. That transition between the two postures is a fun work over the next few weeks. Yes, Nina, awesome. Michaela, switch was nice, keeping it on this. Awesome, Michaela. Thank you so much. Tara, thank you. Definitely need to do a replay since I came late. Yeah, definitely do the full class. It was a nice one. I enjoyed it. Johanna says, thanks for helping us to take care and stay safe, but also step into the fire. Step into the fire, baby. Yes, chromatic slogan right there. Jennifer, thank you so much. Stuart, yeah, awesome. Thank you for being here. Nikki, nice to have you in the immersion. Thank you, Nikki. Gui, is that how you pronounce it? Guillermo, I think is your full name, if I remember from the email. Namaste to you. Thank you so much. Yulan, thank you so much. All right, everybody. It's been an absolute honor. And have a really beautiful day. Make sure you join that Facebook group and share any videos or whatever in there. We'd love to see your practice. It'd be amazing. And thank you for being in the chat. It's a great pleasure to me to be connected to you in this way. So lots of love. Have a beautiful day. See you soon.